Telltale's The Walking Dead is an episodic adventure game that debuted in 2012. It's set in the same universe as the comic series and focuses on a new group of characters. Players primarily control Lee Everett, a man trying to protect a young girl named Clementine. The game is known for its strong narrative, emotional choices, and branching paths that really shape the outcome of the plot. It's widely praised for its storyline and character development. After the critical and commercial success of Season 1, Telltale wanted to go bigger, better, and bloodier in the second season. Season 2 picks up the story after the events of the first season. Clementine sets out on her own, this time around as the main character of the season, encountering a new group of survivors while being tested by moral dilemmas and harsh realities of life among both the dead and the living, struggling to make the choice of who she will become and needs to become. Clementine joins a new group of survivors that are on the run from a dangerous psychopathic leader named Carver, gathering the remaining survivors and exploiting them for labor in exchange for shelter and supplies. Eventually, Clem ultimately must make difficult choices that lead to different endings, including reuniting with Kenny or venturing out with Jane. My problem with Season 2 of Telltale's The Walking Dead is that it's a huge step down in pacing and structure. The narrative was seen by many as a significant drop in quality and decisions feeling less impactful compared to the highly praised first season. Some fans consider Season 2 the worst due to questionable writing, including premature and unexplained departure of key characters like Krista and Omid. Was a huge shift from the first season, and not to mention the perceived over-reliance on Clementine by the adult characters, and pacing issues such as a rushed and underwhelming plot with characters like Carver. The sudden death of Omid and the disappearance of Krista after the first episode felt like a slap in the face to most fans, especially since they were central to the story's continuity from Season 1, only to be removed in the first 10 minutes to make way for several new characters. Once Clementine joins the cabin group, the adults are often criticized for their extreme reliance on 11-year-old Clementine to do everything, making some of their actions and overall narrative feel unconvincing. In a normal situation, the adults would not let a child do one task after the other, and everyone is just standing around waiting or being told what to do. Ideally, Clem would have left the cabin group after finding out about Carver and realized being with these people was too dangerous, but she tags along in episode 2 and has to do multiple tasks because the plot says so. Clementine is left at the cabin to look after Carlos's daughter Sarah, all the while a madman is chasing the group and not a single adult stays behind. Then Clem has to go with Luke and cross a dilapidated walker-infested bridge, and everyone stays behind and no one else goes. Why? Next, Alvin wants you to find supplies for Rebecca at the train station, as the rest of the group is preoccupied with other matters. Once you find food, Alvin asks if he can take the extras for Rebecca.
What?
Once you get to the lodge, Luke instructs Clementine to climb up the lift tower to get a better look at the area. Why can't he do it? Later in the episode, Kenny and Walter rely on Clementine to stop a noisy wind turbine that is attracting walkers. Again, I ask, what is going on? And finally, the worst offender is escaping the lodge and taking down Carver. Carver and his men raid the lodge, and Clementine is forced to sneak around to avoid detection while the adults are being held captive. During the raid, Clem must make a crucial choice to either stay and save Carlos or run to find Kenny, both of which involve confronting Carver's group. This is something that a child should never ever have to do. And yes, I know that Clementine is the protagonist and playable character in this season, but compared to last season, the characters were competent enough to take action, adding more of an impact on your overall choices to the storyline. The antagonist Carver, who was built up to be the big baddie, is killed off halfway through the season and fails to live up to the hype. The baddest and could have possibly been the best villain in Telltale's series is killed off far too quickly. Once Carver is removed from the equation, the characters have figuratively and literally no direction. Carver should have lasted by the end of the series, or at least the final episode in this season. While on the subject of Carver, the season's prior knowledge of the 400 Days DLC cast for an antagonist group was seen as disappointing alternative and doesn't really add much going into the main story. The DLC centers on 5 distinct characters' backstories, getting their perspectives on what happened to them during the zombie outbreak. Depending on your playthrough, it will affect the ending on who joins Carver's group. But no matter what, Bonnie is the only character from the 400 Days DLC guaranteed to appear in Season 2, regardless of player choice, and the only one that has a big role to play in the following season. Having separate storylines and connecting them together is interesting in theory, wanting you believe that they'll be relevant with possibilities of being the next enemies or allies. But setting up all these characters and going nowhere with them just feels like missed opportunity, making the 400 Days DLC skippable and you wouldn't miss anything. Telltale really should have focused more heavily on already established characters from the first season, all the potential to expand the lore and their backstories. Clem's parents, the babysitter, Jolene, Chuck, the stranger in his endless pursuit to catch up to Lee. Considering we know their fates, it doesn't take anything away or spoil anything for next season. Hell, you could have done an entire DLC on Molly and the events that happened in Crawford. Then you have the focus on protecting a baby, another new character introduced named AJ, especially after Krista's baby was lost and then made way for a new pregnancy that was introduced felt really cheap. Instead of remaining with Krista and taking care of her child, we're with another pregnant woman that we barely know making promises to look after him. The whole thing feels like it was handled by completely new writers, and you know what? It was. The main writers from the first season left Telltale after its release. The development of season 2 involved several major script revisions, with each version different from the last. A revision by new Telltale management was attempted but was considered too goofy and led to a desired team to return to the original script ideas. The multiple changes in writers and script drafts contributed to a perceived decline in quality and a coherence of story compared to the first season, which had a single planned narrative from start to finish. It's as if they saw season 1, got the clip notes, and put everything in next season. Most characters in S2 are just different versions from S1. Nick is just another Ben. Both characters are responsible for major events that lead to significant loss and trauma for the other survivors with their countless mistakes. Rebecca is Krista, replacing one pregnant woman with another, and both come off as a surrogate mother to Clem. Kenny gets a girlfriend, Sarita, and is just another Katja, even down to having the same accent. Both served as Kenny's love interest, and both were eventually killed off. Their respective deaths were handled similar in the story, serving to isolate Kenny from the rest of the characters. Sometimes it felt like they didn't have a personality other than being Kenny's lover, with the repetitive use of the love interest dies trope. But the biggest and obvious is Jane, who is just another Molly. Both are highly skilled survivors, adept at handling dangerous situations and navigating the harsh post-apocalyptic world. Both have a deceased younger sister whose memory influences their actions and worldviews. Even their physical appearance is similar, right down to the same hairstyle. And then you have the biggest wasted potential ever is Sarah. Sarah was depicted as extremely sheltered and being reliant on her father, Carlos, which prevented her from developing the survival skills needed for the apocalypse. Despite Clementine's attempts to train her, her development was so slow that she ultimately failed to change, making the efforts feel pointless, never having a moment to step up and prove herself like Clem did if you took her to Crawford. The story led players to believe they could save Sarah, but her death in a horrific and undignified way, like falling through the observation deck, felt like a narrative dead end. This was frustrating because the choice to save her felt meaningless, as the outcome was the same as leaving her to die earlier in the episode. Many players felt that if Sarah had survived, she could have become a complex and well-loved character in later seasons, perhaps even a close friend and ally to Clementine. Her death was seen as a waste of character who had been given a redemption arc by Clementine. You could pretty much remove her from the season and nothing would change. And finally is your choice of being caught in the middle between Kenny and Jane. The moral dilemma between Jane and Kenny in The Walking Dead is a choice between loyalty and emotion with Kenny versus rationality and survival skills from Jane. Kenny has been a constant presence since the beginning of the series, and choosing him is an act of loyalty to a father-like figure. He has consistently protected Clementine and AJ, and some argue that his support is more emotionally valuable. Jane is often seen as a more rational and skilled survivor with better knowledge of stealth and tactical thinking. She often acts as a voice of reason who understands when to detach from emotional attachment for the sake of safety, which is something Kenny struggles with. The choice of a classic heart versus head dilemma. Both characters have significant flaws. Kenny is unstable and prone to violence, while Jane is manipulative and her actions can be a tad bit extreme. The dilemma forces players to decide which imperfections are more forgivable or less dangerous. Sticking with Kenny is a risk of his unstable behavior causing problems for the group, while choosing Jane is a risk of an emotional betrayal and potential danger from her manipulation tactics. When the game first came out, everyone was on Jane's side, prioritizing safety and survival, but as the years have gone by, more people seem to be on Kenny's in favor of his longevity and loyalty to Clementine, and seeing through Jane's actions as being somewhat of a sociopath. No matter the choice, Kenny or Jane don't make it going into Season 3 and are killed off through some unfortunate events in the backstory, leaving Clementine alone again. Once again, making your overall decisions not matter. Honestly, you should have just gone on your own from the very beginning so you wouldn't have to deal with all this mess. And that's my problem with Telltale's The Walking Dead Season 2. Hey guys, before I go, I just want to say thank you to all the new subs and to everyone that saw my Sailor Moon video. Honestly, I wasn't expecting it to do as well as it did. As of right now, it's at 1,700 views. That video took 5 months to put together. For everyone that watched and left a nice comment, it means the world to me, so thank you very much. If you'd like to see what I'm up to or want to know the next project I'm currently working on, you can follow me on my socials right here. I also have a Twitch. I actually just finished playing the whole Walking Dead series by the time this video comes out. Be sure to catch all the fun where I stream weekly. Hope to see you there.